Hello and welcome to Queer Abbey, a weekly chat show that is performed, recorded, and produced by yours truly. Hello. Welcome to the third episode of Queer Abbey. Lots of exciting stuff happening this week for me. I just wrapped up my finals for my junior year of college, and I got straight A's this entire year. I'm happy to say that. It's been a nightmare, but I get a little break now. It's summertime. So that's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to moving next month as well. I am finally going to be living by myself, which is something I have never experienced in my life, and I am ecstatic. At the end of this month, I'm going to be moving into like a student housing sort of situation that's fairly affordable for Portland. I'm sure some of my listeners live elsewhere, but Portland is expensive. Yeah, within the city limits, it's almost impossible to just afford a studio apartment as a student or somebody who makes the minimum wage. You have to share a living space with other people to make it cheaper, or be a trust fund kid. Those are your two options. In other exciting news, I finally figured out how I can take submissions anonymously without having to provide a new link every time. There is now a Google Forms page for Queer Abbey that will be linked in the description of the podcast each week, and you can go ahead and submit there anonymously. You don't have to enter any information. You just open the form and type out your advice submission. So go ahead and tell me about those problems. We do always have our voicemail box open at 503-567-2053, or you can email us at queerabbey@gmail.com. That's QUEERABBEY@gmail.com. I have had a stunning lack of submissions this week. I'm pleased that people are listening to my podcast, but I have only just had a couple of people write into me. So I would encourage you, if you're hearing this, please tell me about something going on in your life. I would just love to give you my advice. I would also invite you, if you have any music that you put out to the public, to submit it to the Queer Abbey email for a musical spotlight. Even if we're not the best of friends, if you have decent music at all, I'd probably be happy to spotlight you. Yeah, so go ahead, send it over. I had something interesting happen at work the other day. I received several gifts from unrelated from different people. I got a lovely confection from one of my coworkers that they baked and they gave to me to try. I got some hair product from a customer because we had talked about her lovely hair, and then she came back and brought me some of her hair product in a siphoned off little bottle, which was so nice. And I also got some really bad news. So it was just a whole day of receiving things. I just kept getting deliveries. Well, I guess bad news is not quite right. I got confronted by one of my supervisors about something that I did at work that I thought was perfectly fine. Hard to say without being entirely specific about it, but I work in a very regulated industry, and somebody called my place of work and was asking questions that I'm not legally allowed to answer. But as it turns out, it was actually the owner of the company, who I've never met, just this rich person, sitting, literally kicking their feet at home, how can I ruin this minimum wage employee's evening? Called the store and then asked me to do something illegal, and then got mad that I wouldn't do it, which was just baffling. So I got feedback from my manager the other day that the owner was, quote unquote, not happy about how I handled that phone call. Yeah, I still have not met this person, so that was weird. Yeah, rich people are interesting. I think privilege is being able to tell people when you're annoyed, when you're miffed, and knowing that there will be no consequences because you own the company. So unfortunately, I had to kind of just take it, which was really hard for me. If you know me personally at all, I am I don't know, not like extremely confrontational, but when I feel defensive, I have a way of becoming very confrontational. I'm a Cancer. And so it took all of my might and willpower to not go on a little spiel about class warfare. Anyway, we kept our job, so I'm proud of that. Sometimes it is a skill to not say what you think. That's all I'll put it. It's definitely no way to live your life, and I think it's probably just prescribed by capitalism. But yeah, it can be helpful to keep your job. I'm sure everybody can relate to that feeling, though, of like finding the balance between self-respect and being agreeable, right? Like in that scenario, I had the choice to, if I felt like I needed to have respect for myself by speaking about how I felt, then I could have done that. But I chose to have respect for myself by making sure my rent can get paid next month. I think that's everybody's fantasy, though, is being financially independent enough that you don't have to be nice to somebody because they are your superior. It's a really hard thing. Oh my gosh. Whether it's an academic setting, a professional setting, or just in general in life, when somebody has the thing that you want, the carrot over your head, it kind of breeds a sense of resentment, I think. If only I could just be my own boss, because I already hate myself, and so there would be no additional malice in that relationship. No, I don't hate myself. That's not true. I actually love myself, especially after playing Skyrim for 6 hours straight with no breaks. I love that game. I love that game so much. I have been playing it for 12 years. It came out when I was 11, and I got it like 6 months after it came out because poor, kinda, medium poor. Like, I had a roof, and we even celebrated special occasions at the Outback Steakhouse. So, I don't know, so maybe somewhere in the middle. Skyrim is so immersive. There's a whole mod community, which, I mean, if you don't know what that means, it's like people who make custom content outside of the game. They're like, it's like kind of like fan fiction, but for a video game. And they allow you to install this content, and it's like you can like add quests to the game. And this is still happening even 12 years after its release, which is so interesting. I literally always play like a hot bitch that uses magic. It doesn't matter what game it is. You can catch me being some sort of sorceress. That has been a staple since I was little. I think that's actually one of the reasons that I knew I was like gender variant because I'm like, there's something up here where I see myself in this like lady casting fireballs and being fierce. I mean, I actually, now that I'm touching on that, would love to share about how gay I was as a child. People told me I was gay before I even knew what that meant. There was this one particularly troubled child that in the first grade, we'd be waiting in line to go inside in the morning, and he'd call me Gayson instead of Wilson, which is, to this day, I mean, I'm surprised he's not the poet laureate. And yeah, one time I got in trouble for playing witches with my friend Willow. By that same person. He was like really fixated on me in that time of my life. But yeah, I just stuck out like a little gay thumb. And all of my teachers had this, oh, honey, kind of tonation with me that I didn't understand until I was an adult. And never did I learn how to obscure this gayness either. I mean, I thought I was doing it like my freshman year of high school, right before I finally kind of let the floodgates open. No, I had a full pompadour. Bitch, I think I had lavender hair, actually, even. And the cognitive dissonance in my brain, like, they don't know. No, they don't know. Oh my God. Actually, my freshman year of high school, I auditioned for the school play. It was A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I wanted the lead role of Puck. He's like the little trickster fairy guy that has a ton of lines, and he sort of narrates the play. And they literally told me I was too gay. My teacher pulled me aside after the auditions and started off by saying that I did a great job. And I was so excited because I thought, oh my God, I totally got it. And she goes, honey, I don't want you to get tarred and feathered. So I don't know if we're going to be able to give you the role of Puck. Like, this lady literally told me straight up that I was too gay to play a fairy. Actually, I think she was concerned for my well-being because we lived in North Idaho. So she may have not been entirely misguided in her thought process, but that stuck with me for a long time. Like, oh my God, like everybody knows that I'm gay, even if I don't tell them. That's fucked up. And it affected my course in life, even back to the age of 14 years old, right? People perceived how gay I was and then formed an idea of what I was capable of or what I should do based on that, which is interesting. It's different for every person, but the perceptions that people have of us can feel a little bit like a shackle sometimes. I think I might still be salty about that too, because, bitch, I would have made a fantastic fairy. I even learned how to do a somersault for that. Yes, that's right, a somersault. Well, anyway, what's done is done. So that will be a lovely segue into our advice segment for this week. Welcome to the advice segment for this episode of Queer Abbey. Let's get right into it. So our first submission is from an anonymous user, and they said, Queer Abbey. I struggle with consistency. I don't know why. I just don't keep doing what I want to do. I just don't keep doing what I want to do. Okay, well, one of those things is maybe writing coherently. Sometimes I go strong, but then I'll miss one day and it's like it's over. I don't know what's wrong with me, you know? What should I do? Well, this is something I struggle with too. I don't know if I have a perfect response to this, but trusting that consistency is better than just a large exertion of energy all at once. Time is such a powerful thing, and ingraining something into your routine is going to ultimately have a more potent effect than just trying to do something all at once, you know? Think of all of the projects that you've completed last minute versus things that you've worked on a little bit over time, and the difference in quality and confidence that you have in that kind of product. I think some common areas that this applies to would be fitness, dietary type things. I think people really struggle with the idea of like planning out what you're going to do in general. It's really hard for me. I mean, as soon as I start thinking of a regimen for myself when it comes to my schedule or things that I need to think about eating, I have combative feelings in my brain. I think the most effective strategy for getting around this is reminding myself that I can't predict the future, you know, as well as the fact that discomfort is temporary, right? And that doesn't give me just complete control over myself. I'm honestly not very good at that. But that's something that helps me, is to remember, like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow, right? So there's no use in prophesizing a bad outcome. It's better to not think of it at all, to be honest, to just do as much beneficial planning as you can. And as soon as you find yourself trying to predict your own misery, that's when you need to stop thinking about the future and get a little bit more into the present. It's basically just lying to yourself until your behavior aligns with what you want. Yay! Ooh, and I have another point on this one as well, actually. If it's relinquishing a habit that is your goal, to be consistent about not doing something. Like, I quit smoking. I quit nicotine at the beginning of this year. And you first, before you can stop doing something, you need to understand why you do it, right? Like, what does smoking do for me? That's something I had to ask myself. And I realized that smoking was the only time that I blocked out for myself to just like sit and breathe, regardless of the fact that I was breathing in smoke. But that's really what it was doing for me, was it was giving me time to think, time to just be and be alone most of the time, to like, walk away from whatever I was doing and go have a cigarette was the only time that I really allowed myself peace. So in giving myself more space to be alone, I think that's helped a lot. Like, I don't feel the need to run away as much. And of course, there's a whole host of other things too. I ultimately quit smoking because I fear that it's really bad for my health and for my voice. But finding out what it was doing for me, why did I start smoking? That's the way that you figure out how you're going to stop doing something as well. That sounds pretty smart. Alrighty, moving on to the next submission for the week. Also from an anonymous user, Queer Abbey. I need advice quickly. Okay. I'm a college student taking an online class with a required textbook. The textbook costs $66, and I cannot find a free download of it anywhere. One of the other people in the class sent out a DM message. Sent out a DM message on the class page saying if we don't want to pay that, to just text their phone number and they will give the textbook for $7. I'm assuming it'll be a PDF link of some kind. I've never met this person, and I don't know if I should trust they will actually give me the textbook if I send them money through Zelle. It's only $7, I understand. It's only $7, I understand. But I am a broke college student who can't afford to waste money. Thoughts? Should I just sell them? That's an interesting scenario. I actually have been in a similar situation where when I took piano classes for the first like half of the music school requirements, I bought the textbook, and then it was like an online PDF situation. So I just distributed it to all the other students. The first day I literally said, all right, attention, I have a copy of the textbook and I can literally just send y'all a link and give you my password if anybody else needs to access it. So I don't think the idea is unheard of, but then the weird part is definitely them asking for money. I got several of my textbooks this way, PDF versions. You go to Library Genesis, that's the website, libgen.com, and they have most textbooks. They have like a PDF version, and it can be a little bit clunky, but if it's like $100 textbook, then you can save yourself some change by trying to find it there first. If it's not there, it may be somewhere else as well, so don't give up your search. My personal sense of stubbornness would not allow me to give this person money for the textbook, but I don't know. I guess they're just trying to get their own bag, but what a weird way to do it, be industrious with your rich friends. Don't do it with other poor people where you're trying to like leech the money out of their wallet. It's weird. Yeah, don't do it. That's my official answer. Alrighty. Moving on to the third and final submission for this episode. Queer Abbey. Alrighty. Moving on to the third and final submission for this episode. Queer Abbey. Is it possible to get rid of it by stop watching fetish-related content? Or would it be possible to get rid of it at all? Please, I need help. Also, I don't want people to say I should just accept it. I want real help. Well, yes. This is almost related to the first inquiry about how to access that subconscious part of your behavior. A fetish is something that is deeply related to your subconscious. Our sexual urges are derived from experiences that we have, from things that we repress. It's very much not like visible to us as to why we have the sexual urges that we have. Oftentimes something happens to you in childhood that you subvert. It might be a negative thing generally, into a sexual fetish because it's a way that it can exist comfortably as a part of your your personhood, right? Like, I find this fascinating. Sex therapists often note that people who have their mouths cleaned out with soap when they're children as a punishment, like for saying a curse word, right, grow up to have a sexual fetish about forcing other people to put things in their mouths, because that's the way that your mind is able to subvert that kind of experience into something pleasurable, which is obviously preferable to living in that sort of like trauma of that experience. So yeah, let's say a little boy gets his mouth cleaned out with soap, then he grows up and is likely to have some sort of sexual association with that behavior, that oral fellatio. You didn't specify what this fetish was, so that indicates even more to me that you have a sense of shame about it. And that's really what obscures these things from our view, is when we don't want to know, you know? I think most of the things that we try to hide from about ourselves end up bubbling up to the surface in another way. And our sexuality is a hotbed for that. It's the place where the dark and dirty things come out to play, our little shadow self. So just like a bad habit, in order to understand your sexual urges, you need to confront them and understand why you have them. It's not about just cutting something off of yourself. It's not an amputation. You need to unmask it, like Scooby-Doo. In which case, you might find that the sexual fetish you are so ashamed of isn't necessarily so shameful at all. Because when we allow ourselves a little bit more depth of understanding, it doesn't feel so scary and humiliating to have thoughts and desires. We all like things. We all get horny. Well, most people. Yeah. It's hard to remember that and to just feel like you're a good and complete person, even though you have thoughts that you may not completely understand. And with that, we have reached the conclusion of the advice segment for this week. Thank you. Woo, 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 woo. Yay! Had some fun submissions this week. Once more, I'll remind you to please submit your stories to the Queer Abbey email or phone number. Now we've got that anonymous Dropbox that's linked down below, so go ahead and check that out and let me know what kind of problems you're having. I am really excited for some of the musical spotlights that I have lined up. I reached out to a few more folks that I know that make music around town and was so elated that people were interested in submitting stuff. So you can look forward to some really cool spotlights the next month or so. This week, I am going to give a little buffer for those folks to submit and feature another one of my own works. This one is a cover, actually, that I produced of the song Love Potion Number 9. This was the first work that I shared on social media, and I'm pretty proud of it. I made it about 8 months ago when I was really diving headfirst into this audio production journey. I think it was a little bit of beginner's luck, but I did a pretty good job recording my vocals, and so I figured I would give it a little feature. So without further ado, here is my rendition of Love Potion Number 9 by The Clovers.
Took my troubles down to Madame Ruth, that witchy woman with the gold cap too. She's got a pad down on 34th and Vine, selling little bottles of Love Potion Number 9. I told her that I was a flyboy man. I've been this way since 2010. She looked at my palm and she made a magic sign. She said that what you need is Love Potion Number 9. She bent down, turned around and gave me a wink. She said I'm gonna make it.
Big bands busting out the Birkin bag. You're right, babes. My mom used to watch The Only Way is Essex growing up, and so I feel like I have like an unfair level of context for like a London Essex accent. Now I say that on like a public platform, and that's probably not true. But not that. Not that, innit? Yeah. You can take the girl out of Essex, but you can't take the Essex out of the girl. I'm addicted. That's actually one of the reasons that I'm so obsessed with that clip of Tiffany New York Pollard talking about Gemma Collins, because Gemma is from that show originally. She's from The Only Way is Essex. They call it Towie over there. Oh, have you seen the episode of Towie this week? Gemma. And she was always like kind of an obnoxious character. She's a bleach blonde, bad built, butch body type girl. And so her and Tiffany together on Big Brother just alchemized into this beautiful conflict. Yeah. I don't know why my mom is so obsessed with British television, but she always swore to me that like British people are just funnier. They just are. And I felt like the opposite is true as I've grown up. I think the characterization of British people is generally kind of bland, right? But as with all things, I'm sure that is not true as a monolith, yeah. But anyway, I'm so excited. I have been having a lot of fun making this podcast. I am even thinking about having a little guest on one of the upcoming episodes, so y'all can look forward to that. Now that I've kind of got the format locked in and I figured out how to make the actual podcast, now I get to think a little bit more about the kind of content that goes in it. So, yay! Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you would like to be featured on the podcast, you can submit your story to our phone number. You can leave us a text or a voicemail at 503-567-2053. You can email us at queerabbey@gmail.com. That's QUEERABBEY@gmail.com. And now we've got an anonymous inbox set up that will be linked below in the episode description.
Cool. All right. See you next week.
Bye.